tips for our products and tools. If you're having any audio or video problems during the live webinar, just let us know in the chat pod. If it's not on our end, we can give you some tips. If you're watching the YouTube caption version of this webinar recording, look in the description field and you'll see a link to a Google Doc that's got some resource links. If you do need an accommodation to participate in our live episodes, let us know, and we need about 10 days notice. What's coming up? We did some webinars on blue jeans a while back, and we want to give you an updated version. So Todd Austin, who works at LS&A, he does the training there through their Teach Tech, and he's agreed to do a blue jeans session with us, and it's going to be within blue jeans, so you can actually try it out if you haven't yet. And then Bill LaCroix, my colleague, I have twisted his arm, because he's a very busy guy, to create a webinar on short code reports and business objects, and he's very knowledgeable. He does a lot of the incidents. So that's going to be cool. And you've got the link right here to register for that one. The blue jeans I'll have up later today, and I'll send it out when I send this recording. But today, my friend Monica Hickson is here to talk to you about Google Sites. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Monica and share the screen.
Thank you, Jean, for that warm introduction. My name is Monica Hickson, as Jean said, and I'm here to talk to you about Google Sites. There's a lot of good information, new updates in Google Sites, and before I get started, I just want to share a couple of things that you may or may not know about sites. One,
different tab.
I'm sorry?
You're under email.
Yeah, I'm going to open that later.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay, so Google Site started November 23rd here at the University of Michigan, and the old Google Site is not going away just as of yet. So if you're watching this, please don't think that you have to change automatically. I'll always show you how to do that. So before we get started, I'm going to also, there's a couple of things that I want to tell you about Google Sites if you've never used Google Sites. It is a way to use a web page or create web pages, either internal sites or team sites if you wish to have them. The old Google Sites I had used in the past, and the new Google Sites have so many features that are excellent, like drag and drop features, real-time collaboration features, Google Apps, easy access to incorporate your apps and applications, themes, and a lot more, which I'm going to show you. So without further ado, what I've done, I've opened up my email, because when you go to Google Sites, there's a couple of ways that you can open the new Google Sites. So what we're going to do, I use actually Inbox, but I'll show you this. We're going to click here, and we're going to go to Sites. And once we do this, you'll see that this may look like the old Google Sites, but there's a link right here, the bottom left-hand corner, that says New Google Sites. So if you have been using the old one, you have that option available. And what I've done, I've created just a couple of sites so you're able to see what they look like, but I'm going to show you both. One, how to create one, and then at the very end, I'll show you one that I've already created that has a lot of bells and whistles, and we'll add and delete some things so you can see how to do that as well. So to start a new Google site, in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see this plus. This is how you would create a new Google site. If for any reason that you want to go back to the classic sites, back on the left-hand side of my screen, you'll see back to the classic site. So you still have that availability to switch between the two. So I'm going to create a new Google site first, as I said, and then we'll pop back out to one I've already created. So once you do this, this is the first page that will appear, your untitled site. You do not have to have any web development skills. It would be helpful, but you wouldn't have to have it to learn how to build a site. It's very easy, actually. So once you appear on this page, let me just go over kind of what you're looking at. First of all, in the upper left-hand corner here of your screen, it says Untitled Site. What we might want to do is click here and give our site a title. You can do this at any point. So I'm going to just title it Monica's Site for now. I'm going to leave it kind of generic because you just kind of want to play around with a few things. Okay. Once I've done that, with this new site, you'll see over on the right-hand side, you have three tabs. You have what's called the Insert, Pages, and Themes. And with these, you can create the site. So for the first one is Insert. Let's say you want to insert a text box or an image or any of these things onto the page. You can do so. When we go into Pages, which I've clicked on, you can actually build out your pages from here. So what does that really mean? Google Sites, if you want to have information, so for instance, let's say I want to create a page or a site that has information about myself. It looks like we have a question. Yes?
Bo says, please warn people that the new site cannot have a nice URL. It's always sites.google.com. Use the old site if you want a umich.edu or other URL to point to it.
That's an excellent point. And yes, and I was going to mention that. I was going to kind of save that towards the end because that's one thing that a lot of people have some concerns and questions about. So that's an excellent point. And if you already have a current URL in the old site, you're going to have to recreate your site in the new Google site. So I was going to kind of get to that, but I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, thank you. So let's say that we want to add pages to our site and build our site up. So right here, you would click where it looks like a little page icon, say Add Page. And what we're going to do, I have a couple, you can, I'm just going to use a couple of examples. So I'm going to put professional development. This is just my little personal playing around site. And we click Done, or you can click Enter. And once you've done that, you have created your first page within the site. And you see it's just a blank page at this point. I'm just going to add a couple of other pages here. So let's say lynda.com is a professional development site. I click again to add another page. And let's say we'll say ATD, another page, and one more. And let's type in EduCause. Of course, my spelling. Okay, there we go. So I have these pages. Now, lynda.com, ATD, and EduCause are actually all part of my professional development. So instead of having these standalone pages, what I can do is if you click right here, this actually is a part of my professional development. I click right here and I'm going to click, hold, and drag, move my cursor, my mouse, and it's going to attach to the professional development, layering it underneath the professional development page. So therefore, I'm going to do the same here because, again, all of these are considered under professional development. So let's say I want something else. And you'll notice also as it's building out right here, you have your navigation bar. And I'm going to show you how you can change that and switch to a different view, like a vertical view. So let's go ahead and create something else so I can show you this. So let's say I want to have my project here as well. So I'm going to type in projects, select done. And let's see, projects, let's type in blue jeans. And let's type in box. It's running a little slow, sorry. Okay, so now I have, in my projects, I have blue jeans and box. So again, what I'm going to do is drag that. All I'm doing is clicking my mouse and dragging, hovering over the word projects, and doing the same here. So now in my navigation, you'll see where it says professional development, these are the list of my professional development. And where it says projects, you'll see that these are the projects I'm currently working on. Now, if I wanted something to stand alone, I could do that, and I'm just going to type in diversity work that I do. And I'm not going to put that underneath necessarily project nor professional development, so it can stand alone. And again, you'll see in the navigation there isn't anything underneath that at the time. All right, so now I need to put something on these pages and customize these pages. So what I'm going to do is click on Insert. I'm going to go back to Insert, and there's a whole host of things you can do. The one thing about the new Google Sites, it's really easy to add a Google document, to add a chart, graph, even a map, which is very exciting. So let's say, now notice I'm on my diversity page. You want to make sure that you're on the page that you want to start to build out. So I'm going to select Pages. I want to go back to the initial home page. So when I select that, you'll see it says your page title, and I'm just going to put Monica's site. Okay? not anything fancy for this example. So you notice how this is just kind of centered, but maybe I want to stretch this out. What I can do is grab from the sizing handles here to size it out so it's all on one line if I wish to do so. Okay. When I'm here, actually inside of the text box that I have created, you'll notice there's options here. I can change the way my title looks. I can either have it in a title format, a heading format, which kind of shrinks the size down a little bit, or what's called a subheading. But for our purpose, because it is my home page, I would like to create it as a title. I also have the option to change it if I want to center it, left align, or right align. And I can also link. I can provide a link in the title if I wish to do so. For this purpose, I'll show you a little bit later when I include regular text within the page, how that's going to look. And then I also have the option that I can just delete what I've added. So going back here, if I hover over where it says Monica's site, you'll see a little gear option on the left-hand side. When I click on the gear option, remember I was talking about your top navigation? I can also click and change it to side navigation. But then you'll have to click on the little three-line, some people call it the hamburger icon, and then you can click and you can see what's under professional development as well as my projects. So either way, depending upon how you would like to set your site up. So I'm going to hit exit, and it will not exit my navigation. It's still here. All right, so now let's go ahead. Now that I'm on my home page, I want to go back to insert, and I just want to insert a text box. Google Sites, the new Google Sites, makes it extremely easy. I could choose from one of these options on the right-hand side that says text box, images, or any of the other, or I can double click right in the middle of the page, and you have options here to either add an image, upload a file, or you can upload an entire Drive folder. You'll see what this looks like in a second. So let's say I just want to add text. Notice how this is in the center, so I can just click there, and I can say this is my home page. Okay. And I can change again as I did before. I want that to be a title, so I can make it a little bit larger. I can also choose from any of these other options as I had showed you before. Maybe I would like to center this. And if I choose to, again, I could add a link. Notice when I hover over this, it looks like this portion of the page is raised. Everybody see that? How when I hover over, it's raised, and then you get icons over on the left-hand side of the screen. You can suggest a background if you want. If you want to put emphasis on this background, you could. You notice how it's kind of grayed behind the text. You can do an emphasis to, or you can also add an image if you wish to. Let's go ahead and have some fun. Go ahead and I'm going to choose one of these images and select. And you'll see that you have now an image. And that's how this top one also had an image. May not be the best, but that's okay. So I'm going to pause just for a second. Are there any questions in the room? Any questions at all? All right. So I'll go ahead and, oh, there is a question. I'm sorry. Yes, it's coming. All right. So in the meantime, you also have this option over here. If you decide that you want to delete the particular section, you can do so as well.
Betsy says, what was adjust for readability on the right?
You said, I'm sorry,
there was adjust for readability on the right.
Let's see, where I have to figure out where exactly did I highlight something or not.
The 3 stars, lower right
Oh,
corner.
right here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have not used that often. I believe it's connected with a particular background that I probably have chosen, but let me choose another one and see if you get that, and I don't believe you do. So it must have to do with the image itself.
We can send out, there's more to say when we send out the recording.
Yes, perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead. You're welcome, Betsy. So what I'm going to do now, let's say that I want to insert an image. We just click here on images. And I don't know if I have any great images. I pretty much have a lot of images. So let's use, oh, here's an image of Jean and myself. So I'm just going to open this image. Nice. And I'm going to select upload. And you'll see it may take just a second, but don't worry. It usually comes through. And if that does happen, go get a cup of coffee, come back, you'll be fine. So when you add an image, You may, like with any other image, you have these sizing handles where you can stretch out the picture either large, or you can move it down, you can make it a little narrow. You have these options. You also, when the picture is actually selected, you have the option to crop that picture. So let's say that I don't want everything, maybe I just want to crop a little bit here, artistry on this, and go in. It's not letting me do that, but okay, I'll just move it over. And then I can say check, and I can also zoom in and out too as well if needed here. So I'm just going to select the check mark. You have another option here for uncropping, and again, you can link this image to something, an outside source if you need it to, or you can delete the picture. Here you can also replace image or add alternative text, which is always very helpful for any web page. If you're not aware of that, we can speak about that a little offline or a little later. So now I've added that. Okay, what I'm going to do, because let's say I've already added a picture on my home page and I want to go to yet another page. You make sure that you go to pages, that's how you would find, once you've built the pages out. Maybe I want to go to professional development and add something here. Plain page, nothing, but when I hover over it, I can click, and I'm going to change this to a large banner. You can do large banner, you can do regular banner, or you can do title only. Title only, again, does not have a background behind it, so I'm going to choose just banner. And again, I'm going to stretch this out because I want the word development to be all on one line. And I'm going to click here. So now I want to insert some more options. I'm going to go back to our insert. And this time, a lot of this is self-explanatory, but I want to skip down just for a moment in essence of time, and I want to talk about the difference between the Google Drive, from the drive, and a drive folder. If you click on From Drive, I'm going to see if I can find a document. Since I'm talking about professional development, I'm going to click on My Drive, and I'm going to go to my lynda.com folder. If I click one time, and so you'll see at the bottom of the screen, it says one item has been selected, and you can select Insert at this point. What's going to happen is that if you drag this out, you'll be able to see all of the files within the drive itself. But watch, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing but alter it. If I go to From Drive, go to My Drive again, and if you double click on it, I can not only get the content within the drive, but I can also get the document specific to that. So for instance, let's say I want to use this one. If I click just one time, again, I have the option to insert, and you'll notice the difference. The one at the top was showing me all of the files that were in that particular folder up top. Here, this is one of the documents within that file. And I can grab from the sizing handles as well and make sure I stretch that out to meet the actual size of the page or how much I would like to show of that information. Okay, and again, what you could do once this is selected or highlighted, you have the option to open this in a new tab if you like to see it on a larger scale. You have that option. So the difference between, yes, it looks like we have another question.
Betsy says, is the content editable?
Good question. So if you click here and you go into Open in New Tab, you'll be able to see it and edit here at this point. So, but remember, you're out of your Google Sites at this point, and you're back in Drive or wherever the document actually came from. So I'm going to close out of that. And once we get a little bit further in the session, I'll also show you how to preview it, which is right here where the eyeball is. You can actually preview it, how it's going to look on the site as well as outside of the site too. So now, any questions before I go on? Okay, there looks like there's a question coming.
How about permissions for the docs you insert?
Excellent question. With this, and I actually try this, whatever the permission you have in Google Drive, it has to be the same permission given to the site itself. If not, they're not going to be able to get into the document. So if you have a permission set one level and you have a different one in your sites, then they may say they don't see it because they have to get access to it. So excellent question. Thank you. All right, so from Drive, I just showed you how to do from Drive in the Drive folder. They're pretty much one and the same. It just depends, as I said, how you did it. If you click the one time, you get the Drive And you can also go into Drive folder and you click, and then you'll just get the folder. Because watch what happens. If you click on Drive folder, and I try to double click on lynda.com, it says nothing's there. Well, we know it's there, but you're in Drive folders. So you're actually going to bring in the entire folder. So if you click on Lynda, again, you're going to get a duplicate. I just want to show you.
You lost your screen share.
Of exact. All right, so let's get back into Monica's site. All right, so where we left off, now I want to show you how to embed some elements as well. So, like for instance, I'm going to go to Pages, and I'm going to go to Diversity. And I'm just popping around so you can, as a reminder, so you'll understand that you have to make sure you're on the correct page, of course. So now I'm going to go back to our Insert tab, and I want to insert a YouTube video. So I'm just going to click on YouTube. And I may just say I want something to do with University of Michigan diversity. And we type that in. Of course, if you know specific the title, you can add that as well. So I know that all of these have to do with the University of Michigan and diversity. So I'm just going to select one. And I'm just going to select. And you'll see there it is, and you can again resize it. Now, one thing about this, you can't just click here and play it. You have to preview it. So, as I had mentioned before, you go up to the eyeball and you can select preview. And once you've done that, now at this point you can click and it will preview the video.
Nice.
Okay. So once you're here, you may say, okay, great, am I out of my sites? Not exactly. But in the lower right-hand corner, you have the option to close and return. But before doing that, notice if I hover over each one of these icons, I can actually change it to a phone view so I can see what it will look like on my phone. I can preview it to see what it will look like on a tablet, or preview it to see what it will look like on a PC. So now let's go back and return to Google Sites. So I'm going to close out and it will return me back where I left off. Right? Again, if you click on the video, you still have some additional options. So wherever you click, it will change the options that you have available to you. All right, so notice that this is in its own section. So I'm just going to scroll down and click, and I want to now insert a calendar and show you some of the neat features we have with calendars. So out of respect, I'll just use my own calendar, not anyone else's. Once I click one time, you'll see that there's an insert in the bottom right-hand corner again, and we're just going to go ahead and insert that. I actually don't like the way this looks, so I like to go up to the gear for settings and change. I don't like the agenda view. I prefer to have a view for month, so you can just click a month or week, you have the option, and you can show the title, the date, navigation buttons, whatever you wish, and I'm going to select done. Once I do that, I can stretch this out because of course you're not going to be able to see, if you have a busy calendar like myself, you're not going to be able to see everything, so it'll only show you like if you have 5 or 6 items. But again, you still have the option to show it in a new tab if you wish too. Are there any questions at this time? Any questions? I don't want to keep going. I'm packed full of information and wanting to share it. So, all right. And again, you can't make your changes here where it says hover over week or month. You can't make any changes here. Again, you would have to preview that too. Right? So, and I'm going to adjust it and kind of move it down. Of course, you're not going to see much, but that's okay because maybe I want to add something over here. Remember, you can always double click in the space and I can add text and I can say this is my calendar. And we're just playing around for fun. I'll show you what a completed Google Sites looks like if we have some time. So I just added, this is my calendar regular text, and again I can, even with this little space, I can choose to show that as a title so it can look a little bit larger and adjust it. All right, let's talk about how to insert a Google map. This one I had used only a couple of times because I never knew when I would need a map to actually insert it, but you could possibly have that option. Let's pause for a second. Looks like we have a question.
Lisa wants to know, can you use a non-Google calendar with Google Sites?
I have not done that. I've not tried to do that, so we would have to get back to you on that. So, good question, though. Thank you for asking. So now we have a map, and I'm just going to type in. Actually, I'm not going to type anything in at this point. Let me show you something. I've already pre-selected and typed in my maps. So I need to see a map of Pioneer High School. If I just click here, yes, I do have a Pioneer, go. If I select, you'll see that what it's going to do, it's not the greatest, but it'll show you the area and of Pioneer High School. There's a lot of buildings here, not really sure what they're all showing, but again, you're able to insert a map. So this will be great if you're showing someone, if there's a site with directions on it, you can implement that. And let's just go ahead and preview this one so you can see what this looks like. And again, you've already inserted your video, and there's your map. And I'm zooming in and I'm zooming out of the map. Again, this can only be done in preview mode. And as a refresher, we're going to go ahead and close out of that in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so now those are the Google embeds. And it's making my site look a little crowded, but that's okay. Now let's go to a different page because I've pretty much exhausted this page. And I'm going to pick just another site. Let's go ahead and choose my projects. So now I'm going to clean blank page and I'm going to go back to insert. So I want to talk about the Google Docs. So we have Google Docs, slide sheets, forms, charts. In essence of time, again, I probably won't be able to go through all of them, but at least I want you to know that you can insert them and how to do so. So I'm going to click on Docs. Once I click on Docs, you have the option to see, it'll categorize them by today, yesterday, when you've opened them. So this is the one that I believe I just opened. So let's just go ahead and use this. If I click on it, again, I can insert that and you can readjust. You may not want to show the entire page. You may just want to show the heading, but if you do, you have to be mindful of the document. Is it a 10-page document or is it a 2-page document? And see if you can adjust that. There is, remember the one thing that I said I was going to skip was the URL? Let me show you something different that you could do if you don't want to insert all 10 pages. You could actually go back where it says embed URL. And I'm going to click on this for you. Now, here's the problem with this. Let's say that I just typed in www.umich.edu. Okay? Notice that I'm getting kind of an error message. But when I select that, this comes up. Not exactly what you were thinking. The image will come, but if you click on it, nothing happens, remember? But if you go to preview it, and you click here in preview, then if you mouse over it, then you'll get to the page. So it's a couple extra steps that you may have to take, but you can still get to the link. So it's not just going to put the web page embedded into your Google site. It will put the link, and then once you actually look at it in the preview mode, then you can click and then it takes you. So it's a couple extra steps, but it kind of gets away from the 10-page document that you have to scroll through in your Google site. So it's a little bit easier to do it that way. So I'm going to close out because it took me out to University of Michigan page and X out again so I can return back to do editing in Google Sites. So you will see this. This is a great placeholder, and you'll also see the link here too. All right. So if you hover over this, again, you get another gear. And in this gear, you have additional settings specific to that link. So you can show the image or you can choose not to show the image. You see once I turn that off, the image is gone. You just have your text. You can show just the title only or show the full description or not show the full description. If I turn all of these off, what you'll notice is that you just have the link. Nothing more. This might be easy, especially if you want to put multiple links within the page or on the page. You can do so, save space and time. But I'm going to go back in because I at least want to show, let's say, a title and a description. Maybe not the University of Michigan logo. And you have that information. And again, you can resize as you wish. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's show you a couple more things before I pop back out to a site that I had already fully created and just make a couple of edits within that site. So let's talk about slides. I don't have to embed all of these, but you can see the slides that recently were used last week. Those are the first ones to appear. You also can search for slides up here where it says search. If you say, well, that's not the one I want, you can search. But it's okay. I don't really need to search for anything particular. Let me go right back in. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to pick one of these. Let's just pick this one. And again, it inserts, and you'll see this. It looks just a tad different because at the bottom you'll have your options. Now, What I've noticed with this, if you go back to the gear, the option's a little bit different. You have, first of all, it gives you where it's located. Auto start. You know, with slides, it's very important, as you probably know. Do you want it to automatically start? Do you not want it to start? You know, you have these options. You can also loop play. You have to turn this on first, and then you can loop the play so it's continuously playing on your site. You have that as an option. And then you can change the delay. Notice behind this dialog window, notice how it looks like the slides are flying past. You can change that so they're set to maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and you can select done. And you have your options there too. So whatever you embed, make sure that you hover over it, select the slide sides, the actual settings, and then you'll have all those options available. Okay. Sheets, same concept. A little bit easier because it's almost like a doc. You don't have any play modes or anything, and you can do that. I'm not going to really talk about that much in detail here. We'll come back to it because I've added a couple on my other screen. All right? So what I'm going to do is bounce out of this so I can show you one that's been more fully created, and you can see what I've added and what I've not added. So what I'm going to do is just use the back button to get out of this, or there's a couple of ways you can do this because I've been in here for a long time, so I can go all the way back, or I can just go back out. Instead of doing that, I can do this. I can go back to my sites, and again, there's multiple ways of doing this, so for this exercise I'm going to go back out so that I can also remind you how to get back out to your new Google Sites, which is located down here at the bottom. So these are the 4 sites that I've created. This is the one we were just kind of tinkering in. And then this is one that I kind of already had developed to show you. Right? So this loads, takes just a second. In the meantime, are there any questions for what I've already gone over? Okay. If there are, just keep them coming. There's one coming. Great. So I'll just wait until the question comes. This is one that I created for our group. Oh, looks like the question's here. Yes.
Amy says, what are the default site permissions?
Oh, we'll talk about the permissions shortly. If you can hold on for just 1 second. Yes. So here, if you notice, and I have spoken about sites and a lot of the basic things that you can do. What you're noticing right now is my colleague Eric is in the document. Remember I said in the beginning that one of the things that's new to the new Google Sites is the actual collaboration feature. Amazing. So Eric is in the document right now, and he's saying, hey, Monica, great presentation, and I appreciate that. And I can say, you know what, Eric, I need to make sure this is stretched out more so I can edit this, all sorts of things I can do, okay? So the collaboration feature is amazing. So let's go back and answer that question before I get too far along because I've been signaled I only have 5 minutes, so I want to make sure that I get the rest of it in. My enthusiasm is amazing, and there's so much more to show. So, but right here, you'll see that Eric is in the document, so he's one of the people that's actually collaborating with me right now. You'll see the little face just like you would see in Google Drive or any place else. We've already spoke about the preview, but you can also undo and redo, which has always been a favorite of mine. Right here is where you can add your editors. So if I click on Add Editors, you'll see that the people that have the permission right here, I've given Amanda, who's also a colleague of mine, she can edit. And same with Eric. That's how he was able to collaborate with me. Notice you only have the 2 options, though. You only have the Is Owner, or you only have the Can Edit. Those are the only 2. You don't have the Can Comment or any of those options available. Okay? And you can also, like with Google Drive, add a note or a comment if you wish to do so, too. So let's go down so you can see what I've done. This is a created page. I have a video. Remember I said I had a video. This is a shameless plug for our PSA group, our Performance Support Analyst group. So if you go to my pages, you'll see more of an elaborate how I had my projects, and I have my U of M box. If I click here or hover over where it says projects, you'll see that you have options. You can change and set a home page that's not automatically designated as a home page. You can rename a page, you can create a subpage, or hide it from navigation. So if I hover over that and click, you see that everything here on this particular page has been hidden from the navigation. So you have those options. So I'm going to say show in navigation. Okay, I hit it and now it's being finicky. It doesn't want to unhide it for me. So I wonder, I may have to go individually. That's not the best, but you understand that, and sorry about that, not working quite the way probably it should have. So if I click to the left of the word projects, you see there's another little icon that has a folder. I can actually collapse each one of these so I can see what's down at the bottom. I'm like, I've got a lot of stuff here. I took a lot of time with this. And I can collapse them and I can just say, I just need to see what's in the blue jeans. So I can just open just the blue jeans, click the page, and you'll see at the top here, blue jeans is located right here under more. Again, the more information you have on the site, you have a lot of different drop downs. So let me go back to PSA projects and assignments. And I'm going to click here. Let's see, I'm trying to find one that looks boring, like this one. We're going to add that background. This is kind of a refresher. But let's say I wanted to add a theme, a completely different theme to the site. This last tab that I want to go over if I have time, you have additional themes. So let's go ahead and just pick one. Let's go with impression. You see how it changes the entire, I don't like this. This aggravates me because it's like I have to resize these. So it's probably best to pick your themes first if possible, because if not, you're going to have to do a lot of resizing as you go through. So you notice that I pick this one. I can also change my color. It changes, in this case, the bar at the bottom. So you just have a few options here that you can change. So before we end, and I hope we have time, just to talk about, is there a question? Looks like there's a question.
Can we use custom colors like the official Mason blue?
You have underneath here where it says font style. I don't know if there's any additional options. I don't remember seeing that. We could get back to you, but I want to say the answer is no. But if I find something different, we can reach out to you. Okay. One last thing, hopefully I have time for it, is publish. This is kind of the big piece here. If you click on publish, you have some options. And as someone mentioned earlier, if you have a site in the old Google site and you're trying to say, well, I want to transition it to the new site, unfortunately, you are going to have to recreate the site, and it's going to give you a new URL. So if I were to click publish, you'll see some of the options that I have. Here, let me hit unpublish and then go back so you can see the screen. Here's what I've called my site. This is my site location. And then you have one of two options, anyone at the University of Michigan or anyone on the web. So this is where you would publish your site. And because of essence of time, I'm not going to really be able to go too much in detail with it, but I hope I've answered most of your questions. And looks like my time is up. So thank you very much, and hope you enjoy your new Google site.
All right. Thank you, Monica. Let me get back here, stop sharing, get back to point. Okay, so closing out, stick around. Here's a Google Doc that's got some resource links. We have an IT4U webpage that has links to our YouTube recordings if you'd like to get announcements. And if you need more help, go to the Service Center. So thanks very much. We're going to stop recording now, and please stick around.